So let's start out with, farm animals and or you could say farmed animals and their relationship with human beings on the planet. And, it has not always been easy. And in fact, today, I think the situation is probably worse due to industrialized farming and factory farming practices. It is worse for farmed animals than it has ever been in the world. And so, if we think about our animal Reiki practice as being about compassion, this group of animals are really in need of our compassion and holding space because there are billions and billions of them losing their lives in the food chain each and every year around the world. And so, I think a couple of things that we're going to talk about tonight. One is what is our approach when we're in person, and the other one is what is our approach in our heart, because it can feel like such an insurmountable problem, and it can be very hard to hold space for farm animals, especially depending on where they are. Maybe it's easier to do an animal reiki session in a sanctuary where they're safe, and maybe it's harder to do animal reiki for an animal who's driving by in a feed truck next to you on the freeway, or if you're at a feedlot or driving by one, something like that. So there are different situations you may find yourself in, but I want to encourage all of you to please, anytime that a farmed animal comes across your mind and heart, or that you are out in the world and you see one, please share animal reiki with them, because I believe it's important not only for that individual animal to see there's a human that says, I see you, you are beautiful. You are a sentient, perfect, beautiful light, and I see you. But also, I think that seeing that we can do and holding them in compassion is something that can ripple out and heal the human animal bond on our planet. So, something to think about. So let's start with animal Reiki approaches. So when you're going to approach a farm animal with Reiki, there are actually three different approaches that you can use. And the third and final approach I'm going to talk about is the only one you should be using. But we're all doing the best that we can. So if you've never heard of this approach and you don't have never tried it, then tonight is the night where you are going to learn how to do this differently with farmed animals, and actually with all animals. Okay. So the first approach we can choose from when we're going to offer animal Reiki to a farm animal is what I call old school. This is the old school approach. This is the way I was originally taught to do Reiki with animals, and it's really based on human practice. And basically, what you do is you restrain the animal, you make sure the animal's confined, and then you, quote, do your Reiki session on the animal, and the animal has to submit to it because it's for their own good. So, in this approach, obviously, very old school, human is the dominant force, and it's because we know what's best for them. And so the animal doesn't really have choice, freedom to move, and they are subject to whatever our rituals are for that Reiki session. Remember, we mean well when we're doing this, okay? But it's very old fashioned, okay? Now, the second approach, and these days, this is the most common approach that most animal Reiki people use. And I call this the my way or the highway approach. So, in this approach, when you offer animal Reiki to a farm animal, the practitioner will direct the session using hand positions and deciding which areas need focusing on, which areas the Reiki needs to heal. And the animal can move away if they wish. But what really shows human control of this is that there is a lot of hand positions happening, a lot of beaming from the hands, from off the body. And there is always the practitioner that initiates the different rituals, such as physical contact, hand positions, and so on. And then, you know, usually the animal is not confined and they can walk away. But there's an even better way, and that's the third and final approach that you can choose from. And I hope the approach that you will always use from now on, now that I'm telling you about it. In this approach for animal Reiki, I call the freedom of expression approach. This is the approach that I teach in the Let Animals Lead method. And in this approach, this is the only approach where the animal can move, explore their environment, take breaks from the Reiki space, can choose whether or not to make physical contact. And the practitioner doesn't use any rituals, doesn't beam any energy at any issue, instead, focusing inward on a Reiki meditation and holding space to listen and be present for the animal. This approach is the only one that honors animal agency, that makes enough room for the animal to express their preferences. So there's a difference between approach 2 and 3. Approach 2 gives the animal a choice. Okay. You can walk away from my hands. So that's okay. But the third freedom of expression approach honors preferences. And that is different. That is where we're actually trying to find out what an animal actually wants by giving them space to tell us. And the great thing about animals, they are very sensitive to Reiki. They feel its peace and compassion. And if approached in a very open, gentle way, they usually do want to connect. But the way they connect can look very, very different depending on the animals. And I'll talk about that a little bit in a little bit. So, why do we have to think about these different approaches? Reiki is great. Reiki helps. Who cares how we approach? Well, I'll tell you, especially with farmed animals, it is very important to honor an animal's sensitivities and preferences. And that is because farm animals have been considered products rather than sentient beings deserving of compassion. And so, whether you're working on a feedlot or in a sanctuary, most likely the animals that you are working with have many negative, fear driven interactions with humans based on violence and dominance. So, most likely when you are working with farmed animals, that you are working with animals who have PTSD. And so your approach is so important so that the animal doesn't shut down and refuse to connect. And of course, our goal is that they would be open to connecting with this beautiful healing space that we're offering with Reiki. So, farmed animals, because of what they've been through, are even more sensitive to any pushiness or dominance in our approach when we show up to offer them Reiki. So, my advice to you is when you approach a cow or a pig or a chicken, or a goat or a sheep, when you approach a farmed animal with Reiki, if you see them as your teacher and you're there to learn something, this will change your vibration, make it very open and gentle. If you see them as a leader in their own healing process, this goes a long way to establishing the feeling of trust and safety with that animal. So let's talk a little bit about where should we offer Reiki to farm animals. So you might find yourself on a sanctuary. I know a lot of my students volunteer at farm sanctuaries. The animals there have been through a lot, but now they feel safe, they feel loved. This is a wonderful place for you to offer Reiki. So see if you have farmed animal sanctuaries in your area. That's a peaceful, beautiful, loving place to connect and support these animals. But many times you will have, maybe where you live or in your area where you drive by, it's an animal being raised for food. This is how you interact and how you connect with these animals. They could be on a farm and have a better quality of life. They could be in a stockyard or auction space waiting to go to slaughter, or they could be on a truck on their way to the end, you know. I want to tell you that even if it is not the most ideal, calm, safe space for the animal at the moment that you see them, it is always a good time to offer animal Reiki. By creating this Reiki space through meditation, we are holding a vibration of peace and love for the animal. We're telling them that all is well and that no matter what happens, We see you, we honor you as the beautiful bright light that you are. And something that I like to add too is to feel that sorry. I'm sorry that humans are doing this. You know, to be a human that recognizes that this is wrong. And even if you can't change the situation for that particular animal, there is a lot that you can do through your own personal choices to change the way that companies operate. Because, of course, we know that all companies are based on consumer demand. So be a compassionate consumer. Okay. The love and compassion of animal Reiki is a very energetic message that we are sending into the world, a world that slaughters over 9 billion farmed animals a year. Okay. This is a world that is not built for farm animal compassion, but animal Reiki is. And so it's so important. If you do Reiki for dogs and cats and horses in your life, I encourage you to widen that circle of compassion and remember the animals that humans discount, that humans have forgotten, that humans see as less than. Remember those animals. They need you to hold them in your heart with love and compassion. So let's talk about how to start a farmed animal Reiki session. So the first thing you want to do as you set your intention is invite the animal to share the space if they wish, but pay attention to their response. Make sure they're feeling safe. Having that open intention and not forcing anything, beaming anything, that is going to go a long way towards trust. So remember, you are holding space, you're going inward with your meditation. You are not being dominant physically or mentally, being very respectful and open. You might be standing in a field, standing in a barn. You might be offering from your heart as you drive by. But the power of love, compassion, and healing that Animal Reiki creates will be felt and appreciated on the spiritual level, no matter what situation we find ourselves in, because we are all one. That energy resonates and animals feel it. So, this is the hard part. What do we focus on when we're offering Animal Reiki to farmed animals? One of the biggest challenges when we connect spiritually and heart to heart with farmed animals is not to get overwhelmed by the global situation of their kind. We have to transcend this through our meditation. We have to change it from seeing what is wrong and all of the challenges they face and go deeper to see their beautiful and perfect souls. Because if our energy is full of sadness and overwhelm, then they may choose not to connect with us. It may not feel comfortable to them. How do we transcend this? It can only be done through meditation. Meditation practice is the thing that is going to shift you into the ability to see more than what's wrong, to see the wholeness and the perfection of those animals and to honor them even in that difficult moment. Now, just like other animals, farmed animals usually prefer a hands-off approach. But if they touch you first, you can touch them back. Okay. As long as the animals initiate the touch and they'll show you where they want to be touched, a cow will come up and give you their shoulder, right? A chicken will come up and lay in your lap. As long as they initiate the touch, you can return that to them. So as they come forward to connect and relax, keep your thoughts positive, see their heart with your heart. Only touch them if they initiate. These are simple rules to ensure that your session is going to be very successful. Now, I want to remind you of your role in this because you are not a healer. You practice a system of meditation that teaches you how to hold space and that can support the animal in their own self-healing process. Okay. So realize you are facilitating and supporting, but it's really up to the animal. They will do their own healing. When farm animals can shift into a deep relaxation state that animal Reiki creates, then a wonderful rebalancing can happen for them. Things can happen like recovery from past trauma, rehab and healing from injuries and illnesses, lessening and relief from anxiety related behaviors, peace and comfort surrounding end of life, even those that are in the direst of circumstances. And as I said earlier, on the wider global level, offering compassion and love in this way can help heal the farm animal human relationship on this planet. I invite all animal Reiki practitioners that are listening to me right now. Help me see a new paradigm. I want you to see it in your mind and your heart. What if farm animals were honored as sentient beings? What would that look like on our planet? Will you see that with me? Let's hold that thought. Let's hold that vision for our future. It's what the planet needs, as well as the animals, so we can all heal and all live together in harmony. So, I want to take a moment now to share a few things for you to look for during farm animal Reiki sessions. So, preference is really important. And so, I'm just thinking of a few things that I have noticed over the years. Let's start with pigs. Pigs are actually often very physical and they shove their bodies into your hands. They shove their noses into your hands. They come up and they plop down right at your feet so you can sit with them. Many of them are very vocal and start oinking happily when they really connect and feel that well-being that Reiki creates. And so you can look for all these kind of signs for pigs. They also love to snore, take naps and snore during Reiki. These are some of the things that you may see when you're connecting with pigs. Goats. Goats are funny. Goats make me laugh, and goats like to chew, and they're active and they headbutt and all kinds of things. So it can be a very active session when you're in with a goat. But once they relax, you just keep holding that space of calm. Once they relax, they'll often sleep very deeply during sessions. But you might need to be a little bit patient with goats. And if it's a goat that's a little too active, you can always sit outside the fence. Sheep. Oh, sheep are so beautiful, so gentle, so kind, so polite. I love working with sheep and Reiki. They can actually be very, very timid during Reiki sessions. So they can also require a lot of patience because it may take them a long time to come forward. Their first response when you enter into their yard might be to run into the barn. But if you just sit down, don't worry about it, just sit down, go inward, start doing your meditation and just invite them, then you might very slowly see one little sheep head looking out from the barn, and then the brave one will come out, and then the second brave one will come out, and eventually they'll come out and they'll come closer. And one of the things that I love to offer Reiki to sheep when I'm squatting down, they like to often put their head and nuzzle you in your chest when you're offering Reiki. And it's like the most gentle, beautiful, loving connection. Sheep are such loving beings. What about cows? Cows will often crowd together. Closest to you, if you're outside the fence, they'll come forward. Sometimes the whole herd lies down all together to enjoy a good Reiki nap together. Some cows come and stick their heads through the fence and lick your hands incessantly during the session. So cows are Reiki sponges. They love it and they show their appreciation in these wonderful ways. What about birds? Geese, ducks, chickens, and more. I found geese to be very verbal during sessions. They can happily be honking away as you meditate. I also like to chant Reiki mantras with geese because they often will chant with me. Ducks and chickens often come close, and after a while, they'll lay down to sleep. Ducks might even sleep while they're floating in their pond, but they'll keep an eye on you all the time. Sometimes chickens will dig a hole in the ground and then sleep in it during the session. So these are just a few of the things that I've seen over the years, but I invite you to watch and see how the animals shift into the peace of an animal Reiki session. It's really, really beautiful. When we share our animal Reiki practice, when we widen our circle to these beautiful farmed animals, they ground us so wonderfully in the present moment. They remind us that we are here now. And when we can evolve our approach to let go of control and instead really see animal Reiki as a way of holding space based on mindfulness, meditation, and agency, which means we honor the animal's preference, freedom, and independence, we will be amazed to see these farmed animals, even if they don't trust other humans, they will feel safe to connect and relax in the animal Reiki space. And as I said, that benefits us as learning from our animal teachers. It benefits the animal because they'll be able to relax and embark on their self-healing journey. And it will also help the planet in sending that vibration of love and compassion to heal that human animal bond that is really in need of healing right now. So, those are my thoughts for tonight's talk. And I'd like to close today with our little animal Reiki circle that we always do. So, let's take a moment to do some meditation. So, let's go into Gasho and let's take a moment to dedicate all the energy of this practice to farm animals and farmed animals, wherever they may be, in a safe, loving environment, in a very difficult place right now. We invite you to step in to the peace and love of this session. And let's rest our hands on our lap. We're going to take a moment to just do some Reiki breathing. So I want you to bring your focus for a minute to your lower belly. And in the center of your physical being, this is your hara. It's your energy center connected to the earth and grounding. So just bring your mind to your hara, your lower belly, for a moment. And now we're going to focus on the breath. We're going to visualize our breath as a pure and clear light. And as we breathe in, imagine this light comes in through your crown and fills your body with light as it moves all the way down to the hara at your lower belly. And then as you exhale, imagine that light can expand out your skin into your aura and into the universe. So breathing in the light, filling your body, connecting with the hara, and breathing out, expanding that light. And breathing in the light and breathing out. And just take a moment to just do a few of those breaths at your own pace. And with each breath in, you can feel your connection to the lower belly growing stronger and stronger. And with each breath out, imagine that light can expand further and further into the universe. And then relax your breath for a moment and just see yourself sitting in the light within and the light all around you. And this light is filled with peace and compassion, perfect harmony and balance, and that message that all is well. And as we sit in this light, radiating all of these wonderful, beautiful qualities, this is like a beautiful invitation to the animals, the farmed animals, of course, that we've thought about tonight, the ones who are rescued on sanctuaries, the ones that are on farms, the ones that are in very difficult situations, even the ones who have passed away. We hold this space of peace and love for all of these animals, that we see you as a beautiful lights that you are. We honor you. And we offer peace and love to you. So it's like an offering or an invitation. We're here. We see you. We invite you to step in. Be that human being. Be that human being who sees them, acknowledges them, and offers them this peaceful, compassionate space. Can be that right now. And bringing our hands back into Gasho. Just take a moment to thank the animals for stepping into the space. However, they chose to connect in this moment was just perfect. And we'll keep in mind our heart to be open to sharing this kind of compassion with these animals. Let's not forget them in our lives, that we see them, we honor them, we invite them to share the peace of Reiki with us. And setting our intention to finish the meditation, take a nice deep breath and slowly come back and open your eyes. So, thank you so much for sharing this Animal Reiki talk about Animal Reiki for farmed animals with me tonight. And I wish you many blessings and happy May. And I'll see you guys next month. Bye, everybody.